Lil Durk's case has been pretty quiet as of lately, and maybe it's because his trial date is slowly approaching, and maybe he let go of trying to get bond once he realized that they weren't trying to let him out. Now, not only are they not trying to let him out, but to keep attempting to get a bond is not only exhausting after being rejected time after time after time, but it's also expensive. Durk had one of the top lawyers who coined himself as the billion-dollar lawyer, who goes by the name of Drew Finland, and Drew is not only just a celebrity lawyer, but he also represented the current president, Donald J. Trump, which that alone gives him enough leverage to basically set his price wherever he chose. And he does a good job, so 9 times out of 10, people are going to pay him whatever he asks for. He isn't the only lawyer on Durk's case neither, as Durk hired a team of attorneys to represent him in his current legal struggle, where he's being accused of hiring hitmen of targeting Quando Rondo to be shot and unalive, but will ultimately unalive his cousin Lil Pab instead, allegedly. Now, of course, Durk wasn't the only one involved. He's just being accused of being a mastermind, as prosecutors believe it was get back for King Von being shot and unalive by Quando Rondo associate Lil Pab back in November of 2020. Now, Lil Durk was granted a total of 3 bond arrangements in a matter of just 6 months, which is usually unheard of. Many of us thought he was going to be released at some point, because else not. Why was he granted multiple bond hearings if nothing against him have changed from the...
I ain't gonna lie, I feel like they were just extorting the nigga, trying to get money up out of him, see how desperate he was. That's what I feel like. Cause well, like I said, why they let him get so many bond hearings and they gonna keep denying him? Like, you really, like I said, then it came out that they, I don't know how true it is, but they said in one article that he would literally have to give up everything he owns, from all assets, properties, monies, all that, just to get out. They basically, like I said, extorting him.
The first time he was denied. Unless it's just a money move on the court's behalf, maybe Durk was just being swindled the whole time, knowing that every time he's presented in court, it's money in the attorney's pockets. I don't know, that's just a wild guess of me trying to understand what's going on. However, another situation that Lil Durk was thrown in, which came to surface in unsealed documents before he was denied bond the first time, back in December of 2024, which was the unaliving of a Chicago native who went by the name of Stephon Mack. On January 27, 2022, 24-year-old Stephon Mack was shot and unalive as he was leaving the Youth Peace Center of Roseland on West 111th Street in Chicago. CCTV footage shows 2 masked men waiting in the vehicle outside of the youth center, parked opposite of all the cars, making it a little suspicious, waiting for Mack to exit the youth center. As Mack exited, they would spot him as he looked suspiciously at the vehicle and started firing at Mack as he ran away, and one of the suspects chased him. Mack would later on pass away due to his injuries at the hospital, and the feds believe this was a targeted hit. The feds allege that Lil Durk was also behind that situation and would try to charge him with the same M for hire charge, as they allege Stephon Mack was the leader of a GD set in Chicago called Smashville. This set is said to be responsible for the unaliving of Lil Durk's brother, money-making D-Thing, who was shot and unalive back in 2021 at Club O. So the motive behind the unaliving of Mack was basically get back for D-Thing, allegedly, according to FBI. This would be a devastating blow to Lil Durk, as they had a bunch of evidence against him, tying him to the suspects who they claim involved Durk's names in text messages and phone calls, stating that they are waiting for a payment from him for something after Mack's passing, indicating that they will be paid for the
My bad, I know this ain't got shit to do with shit. But like, why do they always think somebody is the gang leader of something? Like, you know how many niggas, gang members is running around Chicago and in one set? Like, so how y'all just automatically throw somebody as in there as the gang member? I mean, the leader. I'm sorry for pausing. I know this, like I said, I know he was talking about a whole nother subject, but I just had to throw that in there because I don't understand why they be like, oh, he's the gang leader. Like, bruh, ain't no gang leaders no more. Niggas just running around doing whatever the hell they want to do.
Shooting, allegedly. We even seen pictures showing Lil Durk around the suspects in Chicago, which is what made the feds believe that he is somehow affiliated with them some way. However, with all that said and done, we will see the unsealed case against Durk get randomly dropped out of nowhere in June of this year, right before the ruling of his last bond hearing. News sources would state that Durk would no longer be charged with M for hire for the unaliving of Stephon Mack. I found it kind of weird because not only did they not give us much of a clear reason as to why, But one may ask yourself, why would they gather all this evidence and information to go against Durk and then just suddenly drop everything out of nowhere? There's no statute of limitations on the body, so what was the reason? Durk may have just dodged a bullet because according to court documents, it would say, quote, "The government repeatedly cites to allegations from a federal case out of Illinois where Mr. Banks have never been charged and never will be charged despite the passage of over 3 years since the underlying incident. The government's own exhibit reveals that the allegations pertaining to Mr. Banks are based primarily on information from a cooperating human source described in the affidavit as a paid FBI informant and former gang member with a criminal history. Most importantly, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois have confirmed that they do not plan to supersede the charges there to indict Mr. Banks in connection with the ongoing case in United States versus Anthony Montgomery Wilson and Preston Powell."
I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry. Like I know but maybe this is just my speculation. This is just my thoughts. But maybe how. Don't get me. Y'all know the feds. They work together. They be in cahoots. So maybe L.A. County called. Y'all know what I'm getting at. Maybe they called them and said they got other shit. For the other case he fight. So maybe they was like, all right, bro, drop him for that. So that's just my theory. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reaching. I ain't trying to say a nigga, but it just my thoughts. I'm just speaking them and let it know.
Asked by Judge Thomas M. Durkin whether the case will be superseded, the government affirmed that it will not be. This court should give no weight to these uncharged and uncorroborated allegations. Right. If the AUSAs in Chicago, who have had over 3 years to evaluate the evidence, have determined not to charge Mr. Banks or even name him as a co-conspirator, like they have with 2 other individuals, this court should not rely on these same non-meritorious allegations to justify in whole or in part Mr. Banks' continued detention. So I don't know if maybe they didn't have enough evidence that they feel would have stuck,
you feel me?
Or they just didn't want to continue with the superseding indictment for whatever reason. But you gotta watch the feds because this how they play. They're very tricky and you just never know. So is it safe to say that he don't have to worry about nothing, or do he? Well, recently it will come out that one of the suspects got finessed by the oldest trick in the book when it comes to being incarcerated. A guy by the name of AJ from a set called Mike City admitted everything to a jailhouse informant who was purposely put in the same cell as him to get information. Now, unfortunately, I've been incarcerated before, and one of the rules you learn in there from the older guys is to never, ever speak about your case to anybody. You can, but at your own risk. You never know who's who, and the police get tricky by using people who are inmates or officers that go undercover and act like inmates to get information out of them. So the whole time you think you having a moment with another inmate, but they were really assigned to get information out of you,
And my thing, like, why are you talking to just a random nigga about your case anyway, though? And what's like I said, this is just the problem with these niggas today, bro. They can't shut up. They can't not talk about what's going on. Like, that's just dumb to me, bro. Like I said, I'm not even a street nigga, and I don't even participate in crime. But I know that for damn sure you don't go in there and talk about your case to somebody, a random nigga you just met in jail. Cause like I say, you never know what's going on, but I just don't understand like why niggas do that. Like you just met this person out the blue, and you go in there, it's like, oh yeah, bro, I did that, yeah, such and such, he did that, paid me, da 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 da. Like you don't know this man from a can of paint. You feel me? Now you done told on yourself. Now they done build evidence against you. Now your ass about to go to jail for the rest of your life already. That's what you was about to do. Now you putting another nigga up, implicating another nigga in the murder for something that they probably could have got away with. But it's just like, Nick, y'all be stupid, bro. But y'all quote unquote street niggas.
Into your case, and you was being recorded the whole time without even knowing. Well, that's what occurred. According to official court documents, it'll say, quote, a jailhouse informant was recruited by law enforcement, prepped to elicit a statement by Montgomery Wilson, and briefed on how and when to record him. On February 25th, 2023, the jailhouse informant did so. A portion of the longer recording purportedly involves a discussion regarding the charge M, which occurred over a year before. In it, Mr. Montgomery Wilson repeatedly names and references the nickname Marley, which is the alias the government associates with Mr. Powell, and charge him under docket 1 at 1 Exhibit A at 1317. Specifically in this recording, Marley is specifically named over 10 times by the speaker, attributed to be Mr. Montgomery Wilson and interwoven throughout the recording. Exhibit A at 1317. Those references included a detailed description of the planning of the charged homicide, the execution of the homicide, and Marley's supposed role in it, and payments sought and made relating to the homicide. It is a founding precept of our Constitution that an accused has a right to be confronted with the witnesses against him. Mr. Powell has no indication that Mr. Montgomery Wilson intends to testify at trial. Thus, if admitted at a joint trial, this recording would patently violate Mr. Powell's Sixth Amendment right to confrontation. It is anticipated that the government would suggest that such statement is admissible under Mr. Powell under the theory that it was a statement against penal, and I guess whatever code that they have for it. Now they say the guy Marley, who was believed to be his co-defendant in the shooting, was named over 10 times. One thing I realized is that they gave us minimal information and left a few things out. Right. They say that he basically admitted everything from how the shooting was orchestrated, how it was planned, down to the payment that they received. So now it's 100% confirmed that they actually were paid, but the documents never stated by who.
Who? Yeah, that's the only thing. So now, like, he didn't say who paid him, but he's still in there talking. It's just like, man, this is spooky.
And when you go back to the old documents concerning this case, they said that they named Lil Durk's name as getting payment for what transpired. So, what happened? Who paid him? And if not Durk, then who? Also, the same video, which was Aha, where the feds accused Lil Durk of trolling Stephon Mackin,
right.
AJ was also in that video as well. Now, aside from that, it's strange how the feds just dropped the case against Durk. I have a hard time believing that they gathered all that information, provided what they had, all just to let him go off the case. Now, you know how they play. Sometimes they have something brewing in the background, something more bigger. So they'll let him get off on this one because they feel that maybe he won't get out of their custody due to whatever he got going on. And then maybe they might bring this case up in the long run, but something isn't adding up. What I would say is this: AJ didn't snitch. I see a lot of people saying AJ is the one that cooperated, he's an informant, but no. They just finessed him and tricked him by putting somebody in a cell with him and basically had him tell him information and recorded him saying it. Now it's up to him if he want to admit it during.
Nigga, ain't that snitching? Like, granted, he pointed out, like, he didn't directly say such and such paid me. He just said they got paid. But nigga, he's still talking about the case to an unknown person that he don't know. And he got tricked into, like, what the
in the trial, that he did say it or not, that's totally up to him. But it's going to be a hard time trying to convince a jury that it's not your voice on that recording. And 9 times out of 10, if you blow trial, you wouldn't get a whole bunch of time unless you just cooperate. I don't know. There was a lot of evidence to back up their claims on top of the phone that was left in the suspect's car. The informant that they say got other stuff, and it's just a lot, man. Somehow Lil Durk wiggled himself out of that one. Let's see how it goes. I wonder if they will try to recharge him for it another time or what. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Hey, man, Molly said my theory is they probably let him go on this. And because they got something, you know, brewing. Like I said, you can't trust them, bro. The feds are that they play a long game, bro. You're not gonna get away with something, bro, if you especially something this big, bro. So you never know. Like I said, I ain't saying Durk cooked, but it just you will be just, you know, you can't trust the feds either. Like, just because they dropped the case, that don't mean nothing. Like I said, dude on there speaking, yeah, he didn't directly snitch and say da-da-da, but he was still telling. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, that's why I said the street shit is crazy. Stay out of it, bro. If you ain't got to get in it, don't get in it. Because it's what you get, bro. You either going to be dead or in jail. You feel me, man? Like I said, I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. We out, man.